Welcome to the Community Collective Podcast, a flip-flop agent production in collaboration with the Davison Area Chamber of Commerce. I am your host, Johnny B. Good. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Community Collective Podcast. I am one of two of the hosts of the Community Collective Podcast. Today, Travis and I, we are both back, ready to talk to our very extra special guest. Travis, good morning, my friend. How are you doing?
Oh, good morning. Yes, I am doing great. I tell you, sometimes these days are exciting. Sometimes I'm sitting there like, oh, what day of the week is it? But you know what? Anytime we, have a new guest on the podcast with us, I really look forward to it because I'm going to learn more about who they are and what they do.
Absolutely. You know what? And spring break and the time change has me all twisted up at this point. But I am thankful that all three of us were able to hop on this Zoom call this morning. We are here. So Travis, why don't you make some introductions and take it away, my friend?
Yes, thank you, Johnny. Hey, today we are joined by the Davison Richfield Area Fire Department Chief Brian Flewelling. Chief, how are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. How are you guys this morning?
Good, good. Thank you for taking some time to just have a good conversation about everything fire department and everything Davison.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I tell you, one thing we always really like to start off with during our podcast is to learn more about you. What is your background? What have you done in the past? What did you do to prepare to become in the role that you're in right now?
Yeah, so I've lived in Davison my entire life, 45 years, born and raised, graduated Davison High School. I joined the fire department in 1996, a year after I graduated high school. Throughout the years, I've worked construction jobs, truck driving jobs, worked for the city DPW for 13 years. And through all that, I stayed with the fire department on an on-call basis, moved up through a lieutenant, captain for several years. Then in 2019, the opportunity arose, actually late 2018, when our former chief, Mike Wright, retired. The opportunity came up to apply and thankfully get the chief's job and move into this role full time.
That is amazing. So with all the years you've been there, when you joined in 1996, did you ever think, man, this is going to be like my passion? This is going to be the way I want to serve my community. This is a job that I think not enough people say thank you to people until you need your help. But you guys are there every single day. Sometimes a lot of guys are working other jobs and volunteering their time to help protect our community. So in 96, did you say, this is really the best way and I'm excited about being part of this team?
In 1996, not exactly. I joined in 1996. I actually applied in 1995. Several of my very good friends, some of my best friends, they had a long history with the fire department through their dads, their uncles. And so two of them were employees here prior to my being hired. And I would just sit and listen to the stories that they would tell about the excitement and different things they've done on fire calls and the action. And then there was the camaraderie among all the people. And it was just really exciting as an 18-year-old kid looking for something more in life. So at that time, it was, to be honest, just a kind of a let it rip attitude and see where it takes me. And it's actually kind of funny because my best friend, his dad was a fire chief at the time, Jack Summers, and he made me wait a year. I applied as soon as I graduated high school, and he just said, hold on a minute there, and made me wait a year. And at the end of the day, it's probably good that he did, allowed me to calm down a little bit. But in 1996, I had no idea that it would take me here almost 27 years later.
So now in all those years, what is the most interesting or biggest change that you've observed in our fire department?
So over the years, things evolve. Like I said, I didn't see myself sitting here 27 years ago. As you go and you grow through your adulthood, things change, things ebb and flow. lot of the things that I've seen change around here is society, really. People and the time that they have to commit to things like serving the community. There's so many demands, and really it's a societal thing that we've seen change. With in 1996, we still had, for example, second and third shift General Motors workers in Flint, and we drew a lot of our manpower from there. So we had a good balance of both shifts, and we had a lot of people. And honestly, back then you had a lot of households that one parent worked. We're still in that time transitioning where one parent worked. You didn't have a lot of travel sports and kids playing multiple sports. And so now, as we've moved through the 27 years, we've seen households with both parents have to work. Kids are playing multiple travel sports. The demand on has grown so tremendous that really is hard to find that work-life balance and then find the time to give back to the community. There's still a lot of passionate people out there for things like public safety, public service, but the demands on our time in today's society has really put a crimp on, for lack of better terms, volunteer time.
Yeah, and I know I've been very fortunate to have the opportunity to meet a lot of the individuals that are part of the fire department over the years, and they are all wonderful. I see how much they love their families, but then the fact that they're willing to take that time away to just volunteer their time, no matter what time of day it could be. I really appreciate that. And they could tell when I've had a chance to talk to them that they love being part of that fire department team. They really enjoy, even though it's hard, demanding work, it seems like they really want to be part of that and helping our community out so much, which is amazing. I can't imagine trying to balance that between family, regular work, and then volunteer time there. So that's great to hear, though. And I'm sure you guys have so many other challenges, but you still seem like you also always have a great team that's around you.
Oh, we have fantastic people at both stations. We really always have. It's become a challenge over the years, additional challenges, for example, because everyone here, I'm the only full-time firefighter per se. Everyone else here is paid on call. So they all have their full-time employment, whatever it may be. And over the years, our call volume has increased dramatically. 27 years ago, maybe we'd get 300 calls a year, to where we've had recent years where we're up 700-800 calls a year and maybe more.
Oh my goodness. Right.
And so to try to find that additional drive, man, you got to get up at 6 o'clock to go to work, but that alarm goes off that fire alarm goes off at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It puts a lot of demand on all of our people, and to the point where our numbers have gone down manpower wise, which is not just us, it's countywide, statewide, nationwide, almost crisis level. So as those manpower numbers go down, you put a lot more demand on the people you still have. And the people we still have, they've got families, they've got careers to take care of. And so it's evolved over 27 years to where you could look at it in the 80s and early 90s as maybe it's just a part-time hobby. But over the course of years, it's turned into a job. And it's always been a job, but now it's an actual job where we've got so many rules and regulations from state and federal entities that we have to follow, and so much training that has to be done, because state and federal agencies, they don't look at a paid on call department any different than they look at a career fire department. They're all expected to meet the same standards. And that poses a lot more challenges to people nowadays, with especially time constraints.
So now I definitely know that I have kids, and Johnny does too. And one of I think the things that you guys do a great job of is opening up to the community. And both my kids have had the chance to, through school, visit the fire department. But also when you've had the auxiliary women have had their pancake dinner and other things, that you guys are always open to community and letting students come in and learn about you. So what goes into that? What is the motivation to have the schools come in and visit the fire department?
So that's one of the things that really it hasn't changed over the years is that desire and that joy we get from welcoming the community into the fire station. It's that traditional sense of the community, the neighborhood fire station, where that's where we like to think that we get our recruits for so many of us in Davison schools. We're in second grade. We come down to the fire station and we get a tour, we get a presentation, and that sticks with you for a very long time. My kids all went through it. In fact, my oldest son, he's an employee here, a member of the fire department for about 10 years now. There's a lot of planning that goes into it. Got my captains work on fire prevention pretty much year round, trying to put together the program, not just for October, but prepping everyone here for out training during the summertime. The doors are open and people walk by. We want them to feel welcome to approach us and ask about the trucks and the equipment and the job and everything we do here. It's really special to us to have that aspect of we're accessible, knowledgeable, friendly, and the kids love it. And we get a lot of joy just seeing the looks on their faces when they're climbing in the trucks and trying on the helmets and all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. And I appreciate that as a parent, just because I see the excitement of my kids when they do see a fire truck or a firefighter. Hey, I've met him, or I've had a chance to climb on that truck, especially when they see him at community events. I think that's where it really pays off, because they put a face to that position, which is great. I think this is what Davidson's all about, is just being open, being encouraging to our kids to say, hey, we have so many wonderful things here that you can experience. Chief, one thing that I'm always really fascinated by is what type of trainings does your department go through? And I'm sure every year there's something that you have to make sure the department's up to standards on, or everyone is trained in a certain area. So what type of trainings do you guys go through?
So it's really very diverse. From the time that we hire someone, for example, they go through a 6-month fire academy at the county level that covers pretty much every topic that we do here or we deal with on the job. So they get a generalized education there in that 6 months. And then following that, they go through medical first responder training, which it averages about 2 months long. That gets them medically certified. But during that whole process and then ongoing through their time here, we train every week, twice a day. So we have 2 training sessions available to people. We train so we deal with, internally, we do search and rescue training. We do continuing medical training, structural firefighter training, wildland fire, vehicle extrication. We pretty much run the gambit on everything that's done with the job. And so in addition to that, the state requires all of us to document a certain amount of training. This is new within the last couple of years. We have to hit specific topics for a specific amount of hours. Firefighters have to do it. Fire officers have a few hours more they have to do, and then chiefs have more they have to do. And it covers administrative training, decision making, team building. And during the course of all that, my OSHA specifies certain trainings that we have to touch on every year. It's an ongoing process. It really is. I've been here 27 years and I'm still taking classes. And then the county every year offers a wide range of classes that we can go take, covering everything from hands-on to administrative topics. It's very involved. There's countless hours that goes into this every single year.
Just hearing some of those, and I'm sure there's even more, that I don't know how you guys keep up with all those trainings. It's you guys, I know you're organized, but man, that's a lot. I've even seen you guys, the teams out there at Lake Callis when the lake is frozen, doing ice rescue and trainings and that. Like, you guys are always doing something to make sure you're ready for every situation, it seems.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, we try to do a couple of ice rescue trainings every year because that's one of those high risk, low frequency events that we don't have very often. So we have to, it's just like with sports. You focus on the things that either you're maybe good at or you don't face quite as often. So we definitely try to focus on some of those events that we may get called for, but it's not very often, maybe every few years. So with the ice rescue training, we try to hit that every, a couple times every year. Water rescue training. We'll go to Holloway. We'll go to Lake Callis. We've gone to Long Lake or Griffin Lake several times. It builds the skills, but it serves as team building. It's fun. We try to make training as fun as possible to keep people engaged and interested, because it can be quite a burden 52 times a year trying to come up with new and exciting ways to teach you how to look at smoke coming from a building, for example.
And especially probably a new individual, getting them used to that, smoke, and certain things to recognize, or certain ways to watch the guys that have been there for a while to learn from. But I would imagine if you're new to it, there's so much you have to learn right away and go against, I think, almost human nature to say, hey, there's a fire. Instead of running away to get help, someone else help, they have to go towards it to help protect someone or to put it out. And I'm sure that just within itself I can imagine being a brand new member of the team there, having to learn all of this new stuff and go against what you are normally taught as a kid when a fire happens.
Oh, absolutely. It's always said, and I've said it hundreds of times, it's the greatest job in the world. But it takes a special type of person to be able to do it, and to be able to do it long term. There's a lot of science that goes into it. Reading smoke, for example, what's the color tell you? What's the volume tell you? What's the speed of the smoke coming out tell you? Where's it coming out? A lot of different things. And so to have that mentality, like you're saying, even to go against that fight or flight response, it takes physical training, mental training, classroom training. It's really quite involved.
So no, Chief, with one thing that I'm always interested in hearing from individuals too, especially someone that is been in the Davison community for their so many years, what is something that you really enjoy? What is your favorite part about the Davison area?
To be honest with you, my favorite part is something that I really didn't care for when I was a teenager. It's the fact that everybody knows everybody, or everybody knows somebody that knows somebody. As a teenager, that was tough because it's hard to get away with some things. When I was a teenager, my dad was on city council. He was very involved in the community. He knew Chief Brand. He knew a lot of people that I step out of line.
Yeah.
That's going to cause an issue. So it kept me in line pretty well. But now being 45 years old, having kids in the community, that's one of the things I love the most. You can go down the street, like from me, for example, I tell people this all the time, and some people look at me funny. I can tell you who used to live in this house or that house. I can give you directions based off of who used to live there. You go downtown and everybody waves, everybody's friendly. Go into a business, you might go in for, I don't know, go to the hardware store to buy a hammer. You end up being there for half an hour talking to three people.
Right.
It's that environment that we live in a small town, and there's a real connection with so many people to the history of the town. One of my best friends, his mom is an uptograph, and his family, his grandfather and great grandfather and uncles helped build the town.
See, I think right there, that's amazing. Myself, I've moved to Davison about 15 years ago and have learned to love this community so much. I see my kids excited about things, and Chief, that's what I notice. Is you're going downtown, people are waving to you. You see so much growth just within businesses, but you're also seeing people moving to Davison to either build a home or buy a home. And I think they want that hometown feel, that it's a friendly area, it's safe, it's a place that you want to raise your kids. But it's also because we're safe because we have first responders that care and I think want to spend that time. So I thank you guys so much for that, Chief. Your team is wonderful, and I can't imagine what all they have to do just to be prepared for anything that could go on. And you guys do, I know you do fire, but you guys help out with a lot of first aid medical issues when you get to a scene, I'm sure too.
Absolutely, we do. It could be anything. It could be a house fire. It could be just a simple car accident that seems to be just a run-of-the-mill event. And not only could we help the public, whether it's a homeowner, a driver, our own people run a risk of every incident run to police too. To touch on what we were just talking about, we work, and we're unique compared to a lot of communities. We work so closely and so well with our 3 police departments that oftentimes on scene, they run so smooth because we all know what each other's going to do, what we're thinking. One of the things that's so special about this job in this town is I've got, and many of my people do, a very long-term, deep relationship with a lot of our police officers. I went to high school with several of them. I've known Chief Harris for over 30 years, almost as long with Chief Rendon. And so we work so close knit with them. If they had an issue, a medical issue, anything like that, we would jump in, help them without even having to give it a second thought. And the same thing with us. If one of us was in trouble, we know our police officer would jump in and help at the drop of a hat. And that's something that you really don't see in a lot of communities. There's absolutely no conflict. It's a symbiotic relationship with public safety in this community.
And I think that's what the good thing is about our area is right there is people that have been here and developed those relationships. It benefits everyone. Like you said, good friends with the police chiefs, and you guys are interacting all the time, and your firefighters are interacting with our police officers. And I think that in the long run is one of the best things that you can say about a community is our first responders are friends. Our first responders work well together, which is amazing to see. And I think not enough people say thank you to them when they see them. And you guys are out there doing stuff every single day just to spend time with kids, I think, which is amazing. And that's a good thing. I think that's what all communities really need. And Davison, I think, goes above and beyond that with our first responders.
Oh, without a doubt. It extends even beyond the Davison community. When the state police or county sheriffs, deputies come into town for anything, emergency call, parade, whatever, they know the environment here. They know how we operate, how well we work together and get along. They can mesh right in with that. And so you'll never see a firefighter or a police officer in this town not take the time to give a young kid a couple of minutes to talk to them, to show them what they do, talk to them about what they do. Oftentimes, house fires, for example, if there's, obviously you have the homeowners, if there's children involved, it's not uncommon for us to reach out to one of the police officers that's not on scene and have them sit with the family, sit with the children, and comfort them while we're still doing the job. And that's really special. It's really special how involved in public safety in this community feels about the community. It really strengthens that bond that we have with everyone here.
Chief, I think that is such a great summary of the work that you guys do. And as a public service announcement, and in hopes that I never see you in a professional sense at my home, I would highly recommend that everyone check their smoke detectors, check your batteries, make sure those annoying beeps work, because you don't want to hear them, but if you need to hear them, you sure as heck hope they do, right?
Absolutely. And that's something that, even like we were talking about, goes back to hosting the second graders once a year, the messages that we give to them. And it goes out to the adults that are listening also. Having an escape plan when it comes to fire, checking your smoke detectors frequently, twice a year, remembering that smoke detectors and CO detectors are only good for 10 years. That's manufacturer specifications. So make sure they're up to date, make sure the batteries are good in them. Talk to your kids, teach them how to call 911 and what to say when you, simple things that we teach the second graders. Have a meeting place in your yard if something happens. And by all means, do not go back into your house if it is on fire for personal effects, anything like that. Everything can be replaced in this world except for people.
No, Chief, that's great. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. As always, you have anything you want to get out to the community, you are welcome on the podcast. I speak not only for myself, but for Travis as well. We are so appreciative of the work you guys do. I know that I'm a transplant from Lapeer, but being able to come to the parades and see the fire trucks and the kids and their eyes light up every time, whether it's a homecoming parade, whether it's the Christmas parade, whether it's the Festival of Flags, whatever it might be. It's just so great that you guys are so involved with the community, and we are so appreciative of that and for all the work that you do.
We absolutely appreciate that very much. It's always our pleasure to host anybody, speak with anybody that ever has any questions about what we do. They are more than welcome to call, stop by, anything like that. More that we can get out in the community and interact with the community just strengthens everything we do. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time and letting me come on and speak with you. Hopefully we can all build together and continue to grow the community.
Good. Chief Flewelling, thank you very much for taking the time today. We appreciate it. I know I look forward to always bumping into you around town, talking to you, but this is a great way for us just to share with our community more about you, more about the department and what roles you guys play. So thank you for taking some time today with us.
I thank you very much for having me.
Thanks so much, Chief. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great. Thank you, guys.
What another great episode. Man, oh man, a huge thank you to Chief Flewelling for taking the time to speak with Travis and myself today. Being involved in the fire department, you're never getting a call where somebody is typically having a great day. So I have so much respect and admiration for, Chief Flewelling and his entire team that is keeping the Davison area safe. It's amazing to know that, years ago, it might have been 300 calls annually, and now they've had years where they're up to 700-800. Man, it just speaks to the growth of the area, and it speaks to the competency of our fire department and those volunteers and those employees that are out there trying to keep us all safe and protect our homes and businesses and all those other things. So again, a huge thank you to not only Chief Flewelling, but to the entire Davison area Richfield Fire Department for all the work that you guys do. While we don't ever want to see you, when we do, we are so thankful that you are there, taking care of business as best you can. That was another great episode. If you know of anybody that you want us to talk to, or if you want to be interviewed, you don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to be a civil servant. If you just have some things you want to chat about with the community at large, we would love to have you. All we ask is that we try to keep it positive here on the Community Collective podcast. So if you would like to participate with us, feel free to shoot an email over to me. You can reach me at podcast@flipflopagent.com. Again, that's podcast@flipflopagent.com. And we'll see what we can do to get you locked into the schedule. Travis and I are both very, very busy guys, but we do our best to make ourselves available as much as we can for this podcast, and we are having a ton of fun doing it. So thanks so much for listening. We've gotten just great amounts of feedback, and it is so valuable for us to engage with the community and hopefully bring those people to you on a more personal level, a more conversational level, where you can really get to know them and know those leaders in our community. So thanks for listening. This has been the Community Collective Podcast. I am your host, Johnny B. Good. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next one.